quick ad. With Time Twist, you get exciting, bizarre, and significant historical events delivered to your phone every single day. Enjoying this episode? There's so much more in the app. In-depth background info, surprising details, and fresh historical insights every day. You'll find the link in the show notes. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're doing something a bit different. We're focusing on just one date, May 9th.
Right. And we've gathered, quite a collection of historical moments, figures, all connected to this single day.
Exactly. And the question is, what does it tell us? That so many big moments, triumphs, tragedies, all happened on May 9th.
It's a great question. And looking through our sources, it's like a narrated journey through different May 9ths. The sheer diversity is what stands out. It really is like a snapshot of the human experience, just compressed into 24 hours across the centuries.
Yeah. So our mission today isn't just to list things off. We want to try and uncover some connections, maybe some underlying themes, and figure out what, if anything, makes May 9th feel so, impactful.
Okay. Where should we start? Maybe with power shifts. There seem to be a few significant ones.
Good idea. Let's look at those shifts in power.
And what's interesting is how different they are. Take Malaysia in 2018. You had the return of Mahathir Mohamad. He was 92. Came back after 15 years out of power and won.
Incredible, wasn't it? And it wasn't just about him being old. It really showed this deep public dissatisfaction, lots of corruption allegations against the government at the time.
Right. It definitely stirred things up, raised questions about, the future direction of the country, democracy there. A real turning point, but importantly, a peaceful one through an election.
A huge moment in Malaysian politics. And then, just the year before, 2017, South Korea had its own big change. President Moon Jae-in came to power, and that was right in the middle of that huge political scandal, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Influence peddling, corruption reaching the very top. People were really unhappy. So Moon's message, talking about peace, reform, even, the possibility of talks with North Korea.
It really struck a chord. People were looking for something totally different.
And if you sort of step back and look at those two, Malaysia and South Korea, happening so close together, you see this common thread, maybe, a desire to move away from the status quo, driven by what people wanted.
Yeah, even though the situations were different. One was this veteran leader coming back, the other, a new face emerging from crisis.
Exactly. Then, switching gears quite a bit, we have Armenia in 1992. The capture of Shushi.
Now, this one might be less familiar to some listeners, but our source highlights its importance.
Definitely. It was strategically vital in the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. Shushi sits high up, overlooking Stepanakert, the main city, and it controlled key routes. Its capture was a major shift in military power on the ground.
So, not a democratic vote like the others, but a forceful change in control during a conflict. Shows how power can shift in, very different ways.
Absolutely. Military force versus the ballot box.
Okay, let's pivot now. What about how nations are formed or symbolized? May 9th seems relevant there, too.
Very much so. Europe, 1950, the Schuman Declaration. This is foundational for the EU.
And the key thing, according to the source, wasn't just economics.
No, not at all. Robert Schuman's big idea, proposing this on May 9th, was fundamentally about preventing another devastating war in Europe. Pooling coal and steel, the actual stuff you need to make weapons between France and Germany. The idea was to make war, materially impossible between them.
So weaving them together economically to stop them fighting?
Precisely. It was about creating real interdependence, much more than just bureaucracy and Eurovision, as our source cheekily puts it.
Right. That serious core beneath it all. And then, just 5 years before that, May 9th, 1945. The Channel Islands.
Liberation Day, the end of the Nazi occupation there.
A huge moment of relief, obviously.
Immense. It was the last bit of British soil to be freed. So symbolically, it really marked the end of that dark period for the islanders and tied into the wider end of the war in Europe, a return to self-rule.
Okay, now let's jump forward. Australia, 1988. They opened their new Parliament House in Canberra.
And the interesting thing highlighted is the design, how it's built into the landscape.
Yeah, suggesting that Australian democracy is somehow part of the land itself. Rooted.
That's a powerful symbol, isn't it? Connecting governance with the environment, with national identity.
But that wasn't the start of their parliament, was it?
No, good point. That also happened on May 9th, but way back in 1901, the very first meeting of the Australian Parliament. That was in Melbourne, though.
So May 9th kind of frames both the beginning of Australia's self-governance and then, decades later, this major symbol of its established democracy.
Like historical bookends for the nation's political journey, both landing on the same date.
It's quite neat, actually. But May 9th isn't always about celebration or progress. Sometimes tragedy strikes, and that itself leads to change.
Sadly, yes. Accra, Ghana, 2001. That football match stampede.
Just horrific.
Yeah.
Triggered by tear gas, and 129 people died.
It's staggering, a terrible reminder of what can go wrong in large crowds, and the absolute need for proper safety planning. Makes you think about the responsibility involved.
And the narration does mention that this tragedy led directly to reforms in stadium safety there.
Right. So, incredibly painful, but it became a catalyst for trying to prevent it happening again.
Societies sometimes learn the hard way.
They do. And then think about 1980, Tampa Bay, Florida. The Sunshine Skyway Bridge collapsed.
Oh, I remember seeing pictures of that. A freighter hit the bridge support.
Exactly. The bridge came down, 35 people lost their lives. Just unimaginable.
And the impact of that.
It had huge repercussions for bridge design and safety protocols, not just in the U.S., but globally. Engineers had to rethink everything, how bridges are built, protected from ship collisions, inspected. Another case of tragedy forcing improvements in safety standards.
It's sobering, isn't it? How these moments of terrible loss have shaped how we try to keep people safe now. Okay, let's shift the mood slightly. May 9th also seems to have its share of ingenuity and environmental stories, even some daring deeds.
Yeah, this next badge really shows the sheer variety packed into one date. Like 1904, England, the city of Truro, a steam locomotive.
And it did what?
It became the first in Europe to officially break 100 miles per hour.
Wow. In 1904, that must have seemed incredibly fast.
Absolutely groundbreaking. Think about it. Most transport was still horse-drawn. This is a huge symbol of technological leap, the speed of innovation picking up. You wonder what people thought seeing that.
You really do. Okay, total contrast now. Chicago, USA, 1934.
The Dust Bowl.
But reaching Chicago, I thought that was more the plain states.
It was, but the dust storms were so massive they carried soil hundreds, even thousands of miles. On May 9th, 1934, the dust cloud hit Chicago. It brought the reality of that environmental disaster caused by unsustainable farming right into the heart of a major city. People could see and breathe the consequences.
A stark reminder that environmental problems don't always stay contained, do they?
Not at all. It really drove home the interconnectedness of it all. And then, for something completely different, England, 1671.
Ah, yes. Thomas Blood.
And his, incredibly audacious attempt to steal the crown jewels.
Disguised as a priest.
Can you imagine? And he actually got his hands on them, flattened the crown, stuffed the orb down his trousers.
It sounds like something out of a movie. But he failed in the end.
He did. They caught him. But the truly bizarre part is what happened next.
Go on.
King Charles II, instead of, executing him, pardoned him and gave him land in Ireland.
What? Why on earth would he do that?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Theories range from the king admiring his sheer nerve to Blood maybe being a useful spy or perhaps knowing too much. Who knows?
It's just one of those historical head-scratchers.
Amazing
story.
Absolutely wild.
Okay, so we've looked at events, big shifts, tragedies. Let's talk about some of the people connected to May 9th, either born or who died on this day.
Right, because dates are also about lives. And May 9th is the birthday of Billy Joel, born 1949.
The Piano Man. His music is just, it's woven into the fabric of so many people's lives, isn't it? Very relatable stuff.
Definitely. And going back further, May 9th, 1860, was the birth date of J.M. Barrie.
The creator of Peter Pan.
A character and story that's just timeless. The whole idea of never growing up, it still resonates.
It really does. And didn't he do something special with the rights?
He did. A really remarkable act of generosity. He gifted the copyright of Peter Pan to London's Great Ormond Street Hospital for Children.
Wow. So his creation continues to benefit children in a very direct way.
An incredible legacy, beyond just the books and plays.
Who else? The source mentions a few others.
Yes, Rosario Dawson, the actress, born on May 9th, and Roger Hargreaves.
Oh, the Mr. Men and Little Miss books.
Exactly. Those simple, colorful characters taught so many kids to read and spark their imaginations.
They're iconic.
And then there's Glenda Jackson, also born on May 9th.
A fascinating career path there.
Absolutely. A hugely acclaimed, Oscar-winning actress who then completely switched gears and became a member of Parliament in the UK for many years.
Quite the transition. Shows commitment to public life in a different arena.
Definitely. And finally, on the other end of the life cycle, May 9th, 1280, was the day King Magnus VI of Norway died.
And his legacy.
He was known as Magnus the Lawmender. His big focus wasn't war, which was common for kings then, but creating a unified legal code for Norway.
Prioritizing law over conquest.
Right. It highlights the importance of building those stable legal frameworks for a society, perhaps a bit less flashy than battles, but arguably just as important in the long run.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into May 9th, it really is quite staggering. You've got these huge political shifts, the birth of the EU concept, national symbols being created, terrible accidents leading to safety reforms.
Feats of engineering like that steam train, bizarre heists, the Dust Bowl arriving in a city, and the lives of musicians, writers, actors, politicians, even medieval kings intersecting with this one date.
It really drives home that history isn't just a neat timeline of separate events. It's this incredibly rich, messy, interconnected story.
Yeah, and May 9th just happens to be a day where you can see so many different facets of that story. Human ambition, tragedy, creativity, the quest for peace, the struggle for power. It's all there.
And maybe the final thought for you, the listener, is just that. How many seemingly ordinary dates on your own calendar might hold these hidden layers?
It kind of encourages you to look a bit closer, doesn't it? To think about the stories that might be embedded in any given day, revealing the complexity of our shared experience.
You really never know what you might find.